Hello everyone, welcome to a new movie explanation video. In this video, I will be explaining about the movie The Wolf of the Wall Streets.
A television commercial for Stratton Oakmont Incorporated introduces the film. It talks about the characteristics of Wall Street brokers and compares them to lions or bulls. Throughout one of the company's floors, a lion can be seen. Then, we observe a sizable gathering of brokers engaging in a game in which they toss little figurines onto a board with a dollar sign serving as a target. Then Leonardo DiCaprio's character Jordan Belfort introduces himself to the players in the game. He claims to be the Bayside, Queens, and resident son of two accountants. Jordan has lived a life of boundless drugs and as many hookups as he wants ever since he started working on Wall Street. Later, when high on Quaaludes, he is seen piloting a helicopter after blowing cocaine into a hooker's butt. Additionally, he is seen driving his Ferrari and receiving a blowout from a woman who is later identified as his wife, Naomi LaPaglia, Margot Robbie. Jordan claims that he consumes enough drugs to numb the majority of New Yorkers. But the drug he enjoys most is the one that can help a man rule the world: money. He crumples up a $100 dollar and drops it in a trash can after snorting a line of drugs with it. Jordan started working on Wall Street when he was 22 years old and was married to Teresa Petrillo, Kristen Milioti. When he begins working as a broker, he meets his easygoing, smooth-talking boss Mark Hanna, Matthew McConaughey, as well as Peter de Blasio, another obnoxious and foul-mouthed co-boss, Barry Rothbart. Jordan is astounded by how everyone operates and converses. He eats lunch, lunging his chest and doing a rhythmic chant. In order for them to pass the fuck out, Mark orders enough martinis. Jordan responds that he jerks off approximately 3 or 4 times a week when the man asks how frequently he does it. That's a novice performance, according to Mark, who does it at least twice per day. He begins rambling to Jordan about how the stock market is a fugazi and that nobody can predict whether it will go up, down, sideways, or in any other direction. Basically only for hookers and blow, Mark's main motivation for entering stocks. Jordan eventually joins him in the money chant. The first day Jordan uses his broker's license falls on October 19, 1987, often known as Black Monday. As a result of the worldwide stock market collapse, Jordan loses his job. As he peruses the newspaper's jobs section at home, Teresa recommends that they pawn her engagement ring. One location stands out to him in Long Island, Investor Center, which is housed in a little mini-mall. Jordan arrives at Investor Center dressed to the nines. Being a small business with most of the brokers dressed casually and an untidy, unkempt office, the location doesn't exactly exude professionalism. The proprietor of the establishment, Dwayne "Spike" Johns, welcomes Jordan. Jordan is given the task of making a sales pitch for Aerotine, a small business operating out of a garage in Dubuque, Iowa. He will receive 50% of the fee for the pink sheet, low-value, stock Aerotine as well. Regarding Aerotine, Jordan calls a prospective investor. Even though he presents it to him as a massive organization, despite a picture that reveals it to be no larger than a tool shed, the manner he promotes it grabs everyone's attention. Jordan gives a very smooth but also extremely professional sales speech, and everyone in the office stops what they're doing to listen. His new employees are impressed when he makes the deal. Jordan starts to earn a good living after a few months. Donny Azoff, a pudgy bespectacled man with pearly white teeth, approaches him at a diner, Jonah Hill. Jordan responds in the affirmative when the man asks whether the Jaguar outside is his vehicle. Donny reveals that he and Jordan share an apartment complex and that he works selling children's stuff. He inquires as to Jordan's income, and Jordan replies that he earned $72,000 the previous month. Donny demands to see a pay stub for $72,000 because he doesn't believe it. Jordan takes one out, and Donnie contacts his employer to inform him that he is leaving to pursue a career in stocks. At a pub, Jordan and Donnie are having drinks. We find out that Donnie married his cousin because he didn't want anybody else to try to have a sexual relationship with her. Donnie lights up some crack outside and gives some to Jordan. After taking one hit, he becomes energized and tells Donnie that they should start jogging. The two decide to establish their business in a garage. Jordan enlists the help of several of his buddies. They consist of Robbie Feinberg, Brian Saka, Pinhead nickname, Alden Kupferberg, Henry Zabrowski, Seatter Moniker, Chester Ming, Kenneth Choi, Nikki Koskoff, PJ Byrne, Rugrat nickname, Dreadful Toupee, Nikki Koskoff, Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt, John Bernthal. Brad is particularly well known in his previous area for selling drugs. Jordan pulls a pen out of his pocket and asks Brad to sell it to him. Brad instructs him to make a note on a napkin. Brad sells Jordan the pen after hearing that he is without one. Jordan also invites over a number of men from Investor Center, one of which is Toby Welch, Ethan Suplee. In an abandoned car garage, Jordan and Donnie put up what is essentially a boiler room. Jordan drafted a screenplay for the men, and they are all set up at their workstations and prepared to make calls. Blue-chip companies like Disney and AT&T are where they begin. Jordan phones a potential investor to buy Kodak shares. Just as the investor agrees, Jordan anticipates concluding the transaction by making obscene sexual gestures to everyone. Jordan then establishes Stratton Oakmont, expanding it to become a much larger company with additional brokers working with him. He has throngs of eager and aspirational brokers displaying their credentials in front of him at his office. The entire floor celebrates when one Strattonite makes a sale, complete with a marching band and a sizable gathering of prostitutes. If Jordan gives a female employee $10,000 to use for breast implants, they even make her shave her head. News of Stratton Oakmont's success spreads over the following few years, reaching outlets like Forbes magazine and the FBI, notably Agent Patrick Denham, Kyle Chandler. Jordan is attacked by Forbes, who refers to him as the Wolf of Wall Street and a sleazy Robin Hood. At first, Jordan is upset about it, but Teresa reassures him that there is no such thing as negative PR, and more enthusiastic, young brokers start to visit his office. They introduce Jordan's father, who is introduced as Mad Max, Rob Reiner, because of his always irritated demeanor. He monitors his son's finances and chastises him and his companions for dining out for $26,000, breaking up their conversation about utilizing the tiny people for their game, as seen earlier. Jordan has a party at his oceanfront home on Long Island and makes an announcement about his desire to push the business into the fucking stratosphere. He's just about to go into detail regarding the effects of Quaaludes when Donnie abruptly stands up and moves slowly over to Jordan's pool table while murmuring the name Steve Madden. As Jordan points out, Steve Madden was the well-known brand for women's footwear. Then Jordan first encounters Naomi. Inviting her to go along on his jet ski, he runs down to say hello. Upon noticing this, Donnie's wife Hildy, Mackenzie Meehan, makes an effort to separate Jordan from Naomi by claiming Teresa needs his assistance. Donnie then makes his way downstairs and begins masturbating in front of everyone with Naomi. One evening, Jordan takes Naomi out to dinner. She invites him to her flat for tea after he drives her home. Right before she exits her room totally nude, Jordan is very tempted by her. 11 seconds pass during their 11-second sexual encounter before Jordan tries to restart it. Before Teresa discovers Jordan snorting cocaine off Naomi's breasts in the back of a limo, he maintains his liaison with Naomi for a time. Jordan is yanked out, and she begins to strike him. He doesn't respond when she asks him with tears in her eyes if he loves Naomi. Jordan continues his narration in voiceover, saying that after feeling horrible about hurting Teresa, he 3 days later filed for divorce. Jordan's flat is now Naomi's new home. She hires a decorator to make the space more Jordan's style, as well as Nicholas, a homosexual butler, John Spinagatti. Jordan likes him up until Naomi returns home one night and discovers Nicholas hosting a gay orgy in the flat. Jordan is informed by her that their room has been burglarized, and that in addition to $20,000 in cash, $30,000 worth of jewelry and other items are also stolen. Jordan, Donnie, Chester, and Rugrat question Nicholas about the missing money and what he knows about it. In an obvious attempt to defend his homosexual pals, Nicholas declines to comment. He then abruptly changes the subject by informing them out loud that he believes their queries are based only on prejudice towards gay people. Jordan is able to use money laundering to get the stolen money back. Since he is aware that these actions are prohibited, he retains the services of Manny Riskin, Job Favreau, an attorney, to ensure their legality. The fact that Jordan is generating more money than he or anybody else knows what to do with is all that matters to him. With a yellow diamond ring, Jordan asks Naomi to marry him, and she says yes. He throws a bachelor party in Las Vegas, where even the flight is filled with hookers, booze, and copious amounts of cocaine. The wedding is also a sizable occasion. Joanna Lumley's English Aunt Emma, who is aware of Jordan's cocaine habit, is introduced to Jordan by Naomi. Jordan and Naomi leave their New York apartment and purchase a large Long Island estate. He even gives Naomi a boat, also called Naomi, as a wedding present. Skylar, Jordan and Naomi's daughter, is born after 18 months. The pair is now frequently fighting over Jordan's pranks. He called the name Venice while sleeping the entire night. We learn that she is a hooker who poured hot wax from a lighted candle onto Jordan's back when he was yelling Wolfie during sex, his safety word, which she ignores. Jordan informs us that their pattern, which concludes with them becoming close, includes fighting. Naomi declares that she will only wear short skirts going forward and won't intentionally wear panties to torment Jordan when they put the infant to sleep. Jordan, on the other hand, has his own ruse up his sleeve. He informs Naomi that two of his security officers, both called Rocco, have been filming her. It is the day of an initial public offering, IPO, meeting at work with Steve Madden, a designer of women's shoes who wants to float his business. A nerdy broker is caught by Jordan cleaning his goldfish bowl. By eating the man's goldfish whole and then sending him out as everyone else jeers at him, he sends Donnie to call the guy out and humiliate him in front of everyone. Jake Hoffman portrays Steve Madden as he introduces the Mary Louse, his newest offering, which one broker says look like fat woman shoes. Jordan prevents the brokers from throwing trash at him. He asks Madden to partner with them in business, and Madden consents. Jordan then stands up to address the audience from the stage, extolling the virtues of wealth. In just 3 hours after the stock's introduction in the trading room, Stratton Oakmont earned $22 million from it. The FBI issues a subpoena to the business asking for Jordan's wedding video clip. Jordan meets with Bo Dietl, his private eye, who is portraying himself. Bo informs Jordan that Denim has photos of Jordan's inner group. Jordan asks Dietl if it's feasible to buy Denim off, and Dietl answers categorically in the negative. Jordan invites Denim and his associate agent Hughes, Ted Griffin, on board the Naomi, which is berthed in a Long Island harbor, a few days later. He displays to them a list of all the guests that attended the wedding. Denim perceives Jordan's mention of an employee he recruited after having to borrow money for his mother's triple bypass operation as some type of bribe. Jordan dismisses it with a smile and orders the agents off his yacht. As they leave, he mockingly throws $100 notes in their direction. Jordan makes the decision to store his money in offshore accounts to protect it from criminals and tax authorities. He travels to Switzerland with Donnie and Rugrat to complete the task. Jordan's travel there is chaotic since he consumes a large quantity of Quaaludes before the flight. He then treats the stewardess in a very vulgar manner and criticizes the pilot. He awakens with a chair fastened to him. Jordan learns from Donnie that he attempted to create a wild party on board, dry humping the female flight attendants and insulting the pilot, who then physically detained Jordan in his seat. Jordan's arrival is uncharged thanks to Rugrat's intervention and the help of his Swiss acquaintance. A group of French-Swiss bankers led by Jean-Jacques Sorel, Jean Dujardin, a buddy from Rugrat's undergraduate days, are met by the group. They are convinced to have someone from outside the country put money in their account by Sorel. To persuade Naomi's Aunt Emma to accept some of his riches, Jordan flies to London, England. Jordan also tries to make out with her ineffectively as a result of this. They also employ Brad's Slovak wife Chantal, Katerina Kass, to smuggle money into Switzerland with her family, although she can only carry so much on her body. And dispute between Donnie and Brad results in Brad knocking Donnie out. Later, Donnie takes Brad to a sketchy Long Island strip mall to complete the transaction. Jordan was particularly instructed by Brad to make sure Donnie didn't show up to the meeting high, but Donnie still seems to be. After a little while, Donnie admits that he isn't truly stoned for the meeting and starts to agitate Brad because he took Brad hitting him extremely personally. The police are close as they get into another dispute. Brad is left to be arrested as Donnie drops his briefcase with cash and runs away. Donnie arrives to Jordan's residence with Lemon 714, a potent brand of Quaaludes that is extremely uncommon. After 35 minutes of watching Family Matters and taking one pill each, none of the two feels any affects. Despite taking more, they experience nothing. They learn that they passed away in 1981. Naomi, who is once again expecting, arrives downstairs to discover the two exercising. Jordan is informed that Bo Dietl is on the line by her. Jordan is instructed by Dietl to leave his home and make a payphone call to him. To use the payphone there, Jordan travels a mile down the road to a country club. Dietl informs him that Jordan's home and workplace phones have been bugged by Denim and that Brad was detained. Jordan just begins to experience the effects of the lemons at that point since the pills had a delayed fuse from being so much over their expiration date. His speech begins to slur. And he eventually falls to the ground helpless to stand or move. He scrambles outside, tumbles down the steps, and uses his foot to pry open the door of his Lamborghini. Donnie is acting quite suspiciously, and Naomi has phoned Sorel to inform him of this. Jordan tries to drive his car home, despite being too drunk to do so. He stumbles home safely, shrieking as loudly as he can about the FBI listening in as he yanks Donnie off the phone, who is also experiencing the delayed effects of the Quaaludes. Donnie tries to cram cold slices into his mouth while running, but he chokes and collapses, smashing the glass dining table as he does so. Donnie is coughing and going blue as Naomi enters the room. Jordan takes a little vial of Coke out of a drawer and squirts it all up his nose, juxtaposed with a Popeye cartoon as olive oil feeds the sailorman some spinach, with the tune accompanying Jordan and the Coke. He removes the food from Donnie's mouth and starts to do a rudimentary Heimlich maneuver. Before Naomi tells him that Donnie has a family, Jordan pauses for a little while and considers letting Donnie pass away. Donnie is finally able to cough up the meal he was choking on thanks to Jordan. The following morning, when Jordan awakens, the cops are at his home. Jordan thought he drove the Lamborghini home undamaged, but when they show him the automobile, which has noticeable damage, they arrest him. A flashback reveals that Jordan didn't make it home without causing damage to his automobile, as well as damage to a number of other cars, golf carts, and mailboxes. Once it is shown that there is no evidence that Jordan ever operated the vehicle, he is released. Jordan is told by Manny and Max that he was lucky. A few more months pass, and Jordan calls a large assembly on his floor to declare that he is handing over the firm to Donnie, Pinhead, and Rugrat. One employee is singled out for having barely 2 nickels to rub together when she started at Stratton and is now living a life of luxury because Jordan decided to give her a chance. He makes the brokers cry by telling them he loves them all. Jordan suddenly changes his mind and opts to remain, which is met with applause. Everyone joins him in the money chant under his direction. Jordan's father is not happy and feels that Jordan would be better off accepting the FBI's offer. As soon as Brad is let out of jail, Jordan throws a lavish party on his yacht. Jordan informs us that 2 years after Brad stopped trading stocks, he passed away from a heart attack. Brad thereafter stopped trading stocks. To continue the celebration, Jordan and Donnie take their spouses to Portofino, Italy, in June 1996. When they are high on Bloody Marys and cocaine, Rugrat phones to let them know that Steve Madden is selling shares after learning about Jordan's recent legal troubles. Even worse, Naomi arrives weeping to inform Jordan that Aunt Emma passed away after a heart attack. Jordan is upset, but more so since the $20 million in her account is now unreachable as a result. Jordan phones Sorrel, who informs him that Aunt Emma designated Jordan as the next in line to receive the funds. Just bring him to Switzerland now, please. Naomi wants them to fly to England for the burial, but Jordan goes to convince the captain to take them to Switzerland. Jordan is certain that they can find a safe port and that he can fly to Geneva in a tiny aircraft. Jordan doesn't give a damn when the skipper issues a warning that there may be rough seas ahead. They do, in fact, sail right into hazardous seas. Jordan commands Donnie to go fetch more Quaaludes despite Donnie's protests since he doesn't want to pass away sober. Just then, a large wave smashes into the boat and flips it, so he rushes downstairs and carries the drugs up. A helicopter from the Italian Navy that Jordan requested rescues the group. Jordan witnesses the plane he was hoping to capture crash into the water as they are being brought aboard another boat. He claims that a bird accidentally flew into the engine and caused this. This, in his opinion, is a sign from God. After 2 years, Jordan has become more mature. He appears in an infomercial promoting his straight-line money-making class. Denham and other agents detain Jordan as the infomercial is being recorded. Sorrel ended up ratting Jordan out over dinner with Rugrat after being detained in Switzerland for offenses unconnected to Jordan, who was also arrested. When his wife smuggled money to Brad in Switzerland, Sorrel was also having an affair with her. When summoned to testify, every Stratton member rejects to abandon anybody in order to preserve themselves. Jordan is under house arrest and has a tracker on his right ankle, so Donnie heads over to his residence. In the grand scheme of things, he claims to have Jordan's back. Jordan is also asked about her sobriety. Jordan believes it is bad. Jordan has angered Naomi as well, and she won't even talk to him. Jordan and his attorney met with Denham and 2 other attorneys from the Department of Justice. They attempt to strike a deal where Jordan would be wired in order to implicate the other conspirators. In allusion to the U.S. invasion of Grenada in the Caribbean, when the U.S. administration successfully put down a Cuban invasion of that island nation, they refer to this case as a Grenada case. They believe that the Department of Justice will easily prevail in the case due to the massive quantity of evidence they have gathered. A few nights later, Naomi finally caves to Jordan's advances for sex and requests that they have sex as if it were the last time. Acting indifferent and passive, Naomi. When they are done, she tells him that this really is their final encounter. She then announces her intention to file for divorce and warns Jordan that if he doesn't agree to all of her demands, including a speedy split and full custody of their 2 children, she will obtain a restraining order barring him from ever seeing her or the children again. Jordan abuses her out of fury, she slaps him, and he strikes her in the abdomen. He barges into a small living space and rips apart a couch cushion to reveal a bag of cocaine within. He takes a sizable snort and rushes inside Skylar's room to steal from her bed. He rushes downstairs to depart with Skylar over Naomi's frantic objections. As Jordan reverses the car out of the garage, Naomi and the Belforts made attempt to stop him, but Jordan ends up colliding with a wall a short distance away. Jordan has a slight head injury, but Skylar escapes unscathed thanks to her seatbelt. Jordan, who is still in shock from the current tragedy, slowly comes to the realization that he would likely never see his two girls again as Naomi gets Skylar out of the car. The wire is put up for Jordan to bring in his companions. When he comes back, they all clap for him. He starts off with Donnie. Jordan presents a note to him that reads, "Avoid implicating yourself. I have a wire on." When he inquires about their accounting procedures, Donnie acts as though he is unable to recall anything. When the FBI learns about the note Jordan gave to Donnie, they come to Jordan's home to arrest him. Though not shown, the note was given to Denham by Donnie himself, likely as part of a deal that will leave Donnie unaffected or facing lesser charges. While the rest of the conspirators are detained at the office, Donnie quickly deletes any evidence-related files from his work computer. Jordan is given a 36-month jail term in court. Max watches him with dismay as his mother sobs as his kid is carried away. Jordan acknowledges that he was frightened when he came to prison. He claims that he momentarily lost sight of his wealth. He was so used to living in a world where everything was for sale. In Auckland, New Zealand, a straight-line seminar is where the film's concluding scene is set. The host is played by the real Jordan Belfort. Jordan enters the room and approaches one man. He shows him a pen and requests that he buy it from him. Before Jordan removes the pen, the guy awkwardly begins his pitch. He gives it to another person, who is also uncomfortable. As all the would-be millionaires watch, Jordan keeps doing the same with more visitors.